Grand rising to all the champions in the universe. This is your man who did it, coming at you with another episode to our classic series, Reality Clips. And this one is going to be titled, Thanks for the Memories, from the fans' perspective. Thanks for the memories, from the fans' perspective. Now, first of all, let's just address the mini elephant in the room. None of us should be fanatics, going crazy, losing your mind, unnecessary, unhealthy balance of added weight to your mind. Your mindset is not good for you guys. I recommend that you take a break so that you can self-reflect if you're that invested into a player, a team, an organization. They are here to entertain us and to keep us somewhat balanced. A lot of us who play collegiate sports in high school, and some of you all even might have been stars in Pee-wees, we understand that the grueling, rigorous schedules that these men and women have to perform and have to do to give you a good performance on whatever day they are set to play the game or to compete in their selected event. But that's not what I'm talking about. I did want to start that off though. None of us should be fans. And shout out to my boy Seahawks, Jose Rodriguez. He actually just dropped some science about that too with the way fans have been operating out here, man. Very unnecessary and unhealthy. But with that being said, there was a time that a lot of us were fans. You know, when we were children, we thought as children. The scriptures have a direct quote that addresses when you're a child, you're supposed to think like one. But when you become a man or a woman, to all of you subscribers out there, you start to think like a woman or a man. You're more mature. However, thank you for the memories to the NFL specifically, as well as the NBA, from a perspective of a fan. We remember the time where we could appreciate the hatred we had for the opposition. If you're a North Carolina Tar Heel fan, you hate Duke. You do. Bobby Hurley, Christian Laettner. Later on, Big Head, the landlord, Sheldon Williams, Elton Brand, Corey Maggette. Pick one. You know what I'm saying? Chris Carrawell, whatever. Shane Battier. You hate them. Not necessarily hate their being, their physical being, or their soul, but the uniform that they represent, the organization or college. You hate them. If you are a Michigan fan, or you were at one time, such as I, you're enamored with Charles Woodson, Tyrone Weekly, Tom Brady, Greasy, Desmond Hire, Stephen Breston, Braylon Edwards, Marlon Jackson, Ryan Mundy later on. You're enamored with the Wolverines, Jalen Rose and Chris Webber and the Fab Five. But you hate Ohio State. You hated them. David Boston and Chris Gamble. Those guys, you didn't like those teams. You didn't like Penn State either. You didn't like Northwestern. The Big Ten has a lot of rivalries. Don't even get me started with the SEC. In the NFL, as a Dallas Cowboy guy, I hated the whole NFL. That you notice I'm using past tense. I hated. When you liked the Orlando Magic in the early 90s with Shaq and Penny, you really didn't care for the Bulls because you realized that you had to go through them. But you had an appreciation, just like a Bulls fan when they had to deal with the Celtics and later on the bad boy Pistons. It's a part of our childhood for some of you all who might be younger subscribers, but there's an appreciation factor. Thank you. Thank you for the memories. Now, the reason why I'm saying thank you repeatedly, because that day is over. The day of me appreciating the opposition. Well, you can't appreciate something that's so temporary. And what I mean by temporary is 1 minute Kevin Durant may be a Warrior. The next day he's a Net. The next day he's a Sun. Kyrie Irving is a Net. Nah, he's a Mav. Some of your greater superstars, and I don't mean talent-wise, I just mean they're greater, they're trending, their branding is greater, such as LeBron James. He started a lot of this madness off. Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Kevin Garnett were not as great as LeBron in that case. But LeBron showed you, okay, after a while, I'll go to Miami. And a lot of people was like, okay, well, we hate the Heat now. There was still an appreciation factor. Well, we're going to hate y'all. You, Wade, and Bosh, right? But then it transitions to I'm coming home. And then when things go south with that, I'm going to the Lakers. Now he's already eyeing up other organizations. And we can't just pick on, the NBA. Slowly but surely, the NFL is doing the same thing. It's a mindset. There's nothing wrong with if you were born in the early 90s and under. You understand that there is a change and a shift change in athletes. And it doesn't help that your collegiate athletes are just as spoiled. Look at the transport portal if you get a chance. There's just as many athletes entering their names in the transfer portal as kids that are being recruited. So if I need to break this down in layman's terms for some of you all who don't understand, whenever these young people get upset with a coach, with the organization, or a team, they can literally not sit out like we had to. They can go to a school with no restriction or barriers the following year. When I was playing ball in the early 2000s, thankfully I went to a JUCO first in New York. But then after that, I went to HBCU, got into some trouble, got into a fight, and I had to go down from D1 AA to D2. Nowadays, I could just transfer, and I could go from Dale State to Howard to Hampton, based off of whatever I'm feeling. Which, this is not what the video is about. If you feel one way and you're in support of that because of the monetary position that these colleges and universities have benefited off of the backs of athletes, you're 100% correct. But the backlash of that is, what are we really teaching the youth? Are these people going to be helped in society in the next 15, 20 years? I'm talking about these athletes when they put their hands in the banking and businesses. Or will they be just as shallow when Will they be just as shallow with handling business? This is a shift change, y'all. It's a microcosm of society. So, not to be long-winded, man, I just want to say thank you again for the memories. We appreciate the enemies. We appreciate the days of cheering. Man, there is a joy. There is a big joy to loving the team and getting up to that point where you're at a championship and you take the L. Man, part of the grueling process of coming back next year is a part of the journey. And as a so-called fan at one time, you enjoy coming back the next year watching them. Because you got so close. That feeling of endurance as being a viewer has changed. Now, is it just because I'm in my late 30s now? Possibly. But I have a hunch, guys, that there are millions of you all out there who understand what I'm trying to get at. They've taken away the aspect of good versus evil, opposition versus ally. They've taken away home team, a home feeling. And some of that, you brothers out there will tell me, man, these owners don't care. Well, I never paid money to watch an owner do shit. Pardon my language. Never paid money for that. I realize that he's eating off of the tickets, the brew, the food. We get all that. But when did we ever care about that? Please tell me when you started caring about that after LeBron James started talking about it. Yeah, because though he's complaining, he's also a beneficiary of the owner. Never forget that, especially him and other athletes, Mahomes and such. It's not just a LeBron James problem. Or if you don't look at it as a problem, an issue. If you don't look at it as an issue, a situation. Don't look at them as the end all be all. They're just a part of the puzzle. Okay? So with that being said, this is another episode of Reality Clips, the sports edition, where we're telling the game, the two games that we love, the NFL and the NBA at one point. Thank you for all those memories. The battles, the rivalries, the brawls, the smack talk. You can't even stare people down anymore without getting a technical. Because the sensitivity training of the referees, handed down by your man, Adam Silver, 2 scoops and a twist, has ruined things. Steelers versus Browns and all these other different rivalries. The Bengals versus the Ravens and Skins versus the Cowboys at one time. Now the Commanders, by the way. Raiders against everybody. The Detroit Pistons against everybody. These type of rivalries are about to change. Everything is about to get glazed, pause, as well as monetized. There will be no feeling to the sport, no passion. That's the end game, no passion. None. And you wonder why these little kids don't care about being a teammate, being a captain, practicing selfless acts on the field and off the field and on the court and out of the court or off the court, pardon me, because of all this that's going on. So NBA, NFL, thank you for the memories from a fan's perspective. This is who did it. All praises to the Most High. I'm up.